Welcome to Soul Unscripted. This is the space where spirituality meets strategy and soul-led entrepreneurs come together to remember who they are, why they're here, and what they're truly capable of creating. So I'm your host, Lindsay Grace. I'm a soul purpose mentor, intuitive business coach, and Akashic guide. And I'm here to help you bridge the energetic and the practical so you can build a business that feels as good as it looks. So each episode, we dive into the real, raw, and unscripted side of entrepreneurship and life because we are whole beings. It's the initiations, the breakthroughs, the magic, and the mess, all through the lens of alignment, purpose, and truth. So, take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's get started today. I am so excited to welcome today's guest, Lisa Graham. She is here, and oh, I already know wherever this conversation goes is going to be so magically, divinely guided. So I'm going to hand it over. Lisa, please tell the listeners all about you and what you do and what you're feeling drawn to share with us today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a while since I've had the opportunity to be on a podcast. And I just love talking about my work and talking about, spirituality in general. So for those who don't know me, my name is Lisa. I'm an eclectic mess sometimes, but I own it. I have been in this space for well over 15 years as a spiritual entrepreneur. Um, the internet is not my forte. Let's face it, I'm a Gen Xer like yourself, Lindsay, and we know life without computers, without ATMs, without debit cards, without cell phones. And sometimes I would just rather not have these things in my life. However, society dictates to us that if we want to be successful, and I'm going to put that in quotes, successful, because we all have our definition of what that looks like. We need to be connected to the internet. So I do my best to learn. But as far as like where I come from, like I said, I've been doing this for well over 15 years. I dove into this back in the late 2000s as an evidential medium. That's where I got my start. And I was convinced, I still laugh about this because I mean, how cringe were we when we were young? That I was going to be the next Teresa Caputo. I mean, I was absolutely convinced of this at this point in my journey. But my soul and my spirit team and source had way other plans for me. And after a horrific breakup of my first marriage in 2012, I have spent the last 13 years really very, very deeply soul searching. Um, I am a Pisces. And when I say I'm a Pisces, I am a Pisces everything. My big four, Sun, Moon, Venus, and Mercury, sit in Pisces. And then my rising sits in Scorpio. So this is why we have the Wednesday Addams look. Um, you want to say something? Go ahead.
No, that is a lot of not, I mean, first off, that is a lot of Pisces. But then that is a lot of water.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I have never met anybody with that much. I am just like, okay, sorry, continue.
No, it's all good.
Amazing.
It's all good. Yeah, that's the reaction I tend to get when I tell people, like, yeah, this is my chart. But then my midhaven comes in Virgo and says, oh, guess what? You get to be logical as you know what, because we can't just have all that water floating around. So it took me a long time to reconcile living here in the physical world, but also allowing myself to explore and move into the cosmos. And I used to think I had to keep it all separate.
Mm.
Not anymore. Now this is just like, it's all one for me. I'm here in this beautiful place we call Earth. And I know there's a lot of really crazy things going on and it looks bad, but I don't let that bother me because why? Why do I want to let that bother me? Don't get me wrong. There's times we got to take action. There's times we got to, you know, have an opinion about things. But for the most part, I'm really happy to help people really dive deep into who they are. And when I say that, I am an expert on past lives. This is my thing. This is my jam. Pisces have soul contracts out. I can't even begin to explain the types of soul contracts. I mean, I could sit here and tell you stories for days on end, which is why I shifted my focus from being a Kundalini Reiki teacher, which I absolutely loved teaching that because that was my big game changer about 5 years ago. I was introduced to Kundalini Reiki and it literally changed everything about who I am. And in a very, very positive, very, very good way. Um, I've been a Reiki master since 2010. I, dove right in like, oh, Sue, Reiki, yeah, let's do this thing, right? And then in around 2018, 2019, I was introduced to Atlantean Reiki. That one was fascinating too. That really opened up my kind of galactic connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Kundalini Reiki has been the one that pushed me into soul growth, only to come to find out I thought, I've had a bunch of lives. I've been here a while, things are great. No, 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 no. The more I dove into this and then I found out I had a soul contract where I was not allowed to access the Akashic records up until about a year ago. Yeah, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because I spent many lifetimes working with Anubis and being a record keeper myself. And I had some run-ins with some very interesting beings. And it turns out, I can't believe I'm going to talk about this, but this is what I'm talking about. I had a 2 billion year relationship with Hades.
Mm-hmm.
He gaslit and manipulated and abused me for 2 billion years. Kept me from my soul family, kept me under oh my gosh, I can't even believe I'm going to say this. Okay, sorry. You hear people talk about the Galactic Federation. You've got to trust them. They're going to do all these great things. They are not to be trusted, not on any level. Did I just confirm something for you?
Yes. So I have had this oh holy full body.
Yep.
So this calling of BS bullshit with
Yeah.
regards to so much. And one of which that has just been it's been kind of just knocking at me. And that's what I always say, right? Like we have these, like it's just little. And
Yeah.
the longer you ignore it, the louder it gets.
Yep.
Anyways, last week it was so I'm a Pleiadian soul. And when I
Yes.
first learned this, I was like, mm, me? Really? It's funny because I look back at it and my entire life, I have always been told, you can't see it as well because now have to wear glasses, but I was always told, your eyes, oh my gosh, your eyes. I would have random people on the internet comment on a post and say,
Yep.
your eyes are incredible. People I knew in person, like everybody always commented on my eyes. And that's actually a big Pleiadian thing, but I'm not blonde
Yes.
and I'm not tall or anything. So I was like, that's not me. Anyways, it was confirmed and I finally have like just owned up to it and everything like this. But last week it was came across another person and they actually branded themselves completely the Pleiadian channel. And I'm like, why? So I'm like, is it my ego in here? Like, where am I having issue around this? Around this kind of what's become this theatrics in the spiritual
Yes.
world? And I was like, I just don't. Again, I really did. I sat with it. I sat with it. I sat with it. I'm like, is it my ego? Like, where am I feeling? Am I feeling unworthy? Am I feeling the lack about
Hmm.
step? Like, and so, and I finally was like, no. Okay, first off, people are not meant to channel other, like, we're supposed to, our soul, like you would say, our soul chose to come to this wild and crazy world because yes, you're right, it is. Now I don't watch the news anymore. I
Nope.
don't dive in. I am not clueless as to what's going on by any
But
means, but I am no longer news on 24 hours a day or even
yes.
once a day for the, evening or lunchtime news thing because we're not going to get into that, but like those that know, know. Those
I
that know,
understand.
right?
I understand.
And stuff. So but I sat and I sat and I sat and I was like, it just doesn't feel right. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like we're supposed to, if in fact you are somebody that's here and you're doing and you're supposed to embody. You're supposed to
Yes.
embody. That is
Yes.
how we teach. That is how we help the whole collective in the world and how we uplift everything is by living and embodying our divine self-expression and our truth and our gifts. And so we don't need like the plea what kept coming through to me was that the Pleiadians don't need people to channel them. And
No.
people are capitalizing on it. I came across again this person who's branding themselves as the Pleiadian channel. And then programs that they put out that the
Yes.
Pleiades are there and they're helping, like helping your awakening and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so
The
there's,
only thing that's helping our awakening is the sun. Why do you think they want to block it out?
yeah,
Anyway, another
yeah,
story.
exactly, exactly. So, anyways, but when you said, and it's just like, I, I 100% like there is so much that's being stripped back and this is
Yeah.
not like I've been sitting here or whatever diving deep into this stuff, myself for like 40 plus years. No, but it's just coming through so
So
strongly.
clearly. Yeah.
And what I keep telling everybody is because again, my truth is not your truth. Right?
Exactly.
You need to learn your truth and you need to have such strong discernment and be
Yeah.
so tuned into who you are so that when you're hearing things that are being said, that are being fed to us, you're learning what is actually true and what isn't true because we are being fed a lot of stuff in
Yeah.
every aspect
Yep.
of this world, in the spiritual, in the 5D and beyond, in the
And
3D
exactly.
that is not that I'm like I'm on my soapbox here right now, but like we're being fed so much that is
Yeah.
not true.
Yeah.
And it's doing the whole to pull us away from what
And to
matters.
divide us.
Yep.
Absolutely to divide us. The whole idea behind quote unquote new age spirituality, which again, I don't post videos on my YouTube channel anymore, but I do have some there still. But I have one where I literally titled it New Age Spirituality is Bullshit. And then I go into, I think, a 30-minute tirade about why I think it is bullshit. It was specifically designed as just another type of religion to pull people apart even further. And quite frankly, I believe that part of it was to get people to open up just enough into that fourth dimension and to allow more negative entities in. That's my own personal belief on it all.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it with clients.
Mhm.
100%. You are like bang on. And I've had conversations with people who I know who were super religious, spiritual, right?
Yeah,
Raised and grew up that way and everything. And I remember hitting even a point for myself, and it was like, okay, well, but religion's bad, New Age good. But then it
yeah,
was like, but New Age, and it's so hilarious because some of these, and my problem is there's so many massive gurus out there
yes,
who have such a massive following
yeah,
and are capitalizing. there's a capitalization around it. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that we should all be love and light and not, because we are meant to be able to earn a living and we are meant to be able to provide. And
Exactly.
when money is in good hands, money multiplies in good ways. So
Yes.
I am not at all, our soul did not choose to come here and experience lack and a lack of
Nope.
money and a lack of time and a lack of all those things. So don't get like, I'm not saying that at all, but like, we don't need, I just saw another thing or whatever, somebody commenting, and I was like, I don't know who it was, and I wasn't going to go type in the thing to try and figure out, but some guru with a Lamborghini, like a guru with a Lamborghini, another, kind of, and hey, all the power to you. Your path is your path, but these people are just feeding so much information out there that it's like, and I just sit, and so as you saw, like I'm like, I'm not holding back anymore. So on
No.
threads, it's just I'm saying the things, I'm calling the bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
a big one for me is like it was like everywhere I turned on my Instagram, it was another spiritual retreat, the same exotic fancy resorts, the same exotic, like it was theatrics instead of
Yes.
actual true. And it was like, I'm sorry, but we don't need to
We
go
need
on a
substance.
retreat
Yeah.
and all of us be in white flowy dresses and everybody look the exact same and all the pictures and the photo shoots and the whole like, this is what, that's not at all needed. You don't need that to connect to your soul.
No.
You don't need, to take supplements or that was when
I'm
I was like,
still blown away by that one.
I was like, somebody commented on my thing and they said, "Did you?" And I'm like, "No, because I wasn't signing up for the free video to learn the information about this." Because right away I was like, "I'm sorry, excuse me." Now people are selling supplements to, you don't need drugs. You don't need
No.
to, if that's your path and that's what you like, have at it.
Yeah.
You do you. But again, like you had already said, I'm not going to sit here and tell people this is how you do it, because how I did it is not going to be how anybody else does, because our
No.
our path is unique. Oh gosh, I'm on my soapbox. I'm going to get back down.
You are good. You are good. I love hearing other people's perspectives. I really do. Because it challenges my own, for one thing.
Mm.
Um, a few years ago, my youngest daughter, who is, oh my gosh, 21 now, but um, she was still living at home, and I think we were in the midst of the whole COVID thing, and we were arguing about injections, we'll put it that way, I'm sure. And she looked at me and she said, Mom, sometimes you think that your beliefs are the same as everyone else's. And I really had to stop at that point. And I went, oh, crap. I think you might be right. And so since then, I have really challenged myself to step into, let's listen to everyone else's beliefs. And, maybe they're not for me, but it doesn't mean I have to tell them, this is what I believe and you have to believe it too. No, because that was the old me. That was my ego going, hey, this is what you have to believe. Now I'm like, here, you know what? This is my opinion. Think what
I
you like.
I said that recently. There was the thing that happened, what, probably, I guess, almost 6 weeks-ish ago now in the US. There was a big,
Yes.
there was a big assassination type thing
Yes.
that happened. And so, because my kids both knew who this person was and they were and so I spoke, but again, I said, this is my truth. This doesn't need to be
Yes.
the, and I had some people who, interestingly enough, also came at me. So when the US election, the most recent US election happened, and the next morning, I put a post on my Facebook. And I know when you put a post out, you're opening up and you're asking, but my post was all that it said in a very eloquent, beautiful way. But it said, to those of you who are up in arms, because that was my feed, all these people that were like, oh my
Yes.
God, the world is ending, blah, 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 all the bad, 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 bad. And I'm
Yep.
not saying that it wasn't bad. That's not at all what I'm saying. But it was
No.
like into that fear, into that panic, into that
Yes.
negative energy. And all that I said was, maybe ask yourself why so many people chose that. That's it. the things that people said to me and came at me for, I was told by people I was spiritually bypassing, and I laughed because years prior I actually had said to my own healer at one point, and I'm like, am I spiritual? And she says, no, Lindsay, you embody this in what you do and who you are every moment of every day. You
Yeah.
can't possibly spiritual bypass. So it was hilarious when this came up because I knew hands down that I wasn't at all. All I was asking was for people to reflect. Again, not to say that he should have won or that the outcome was a good thing or anything, but to
Yeah.
reflect as to why so many people felt
Yep.
that that change was needed. And like people are just, and I just thought to myself, I'm like, wow, like people can't think for themselves anymore. And that's what's so sad. But like,
It's,
we have
yeah.
to be able to open up to realize, like, I have two adult children as well. And I am not growing, or I did not raise my kids, and I am not now growing them up, to help guide them as adults to be like me, to think like me, to do anything like that. I had never heard of Charlie Kirk before my son introduced him to me. I would have had no idea who he was and been completely clueless if it wasn't for the fact of that. And so, like there's things beyond, like I remember when my son came to me one day and said, and I was like, whoa, I was shocked. Did
Yeah.
I cut him out of my life? Did I say he was wrong? Did I? No, I got
Nope.
curious and I was
Yep.
like, why is he thinking this way? What is making him? And I got curious and I asked questions and he sent me videos and I watched his things and I was like, oh crap, man, he's smart.
He was a very intelligent man. Very.
So there's just like the oh, the world is being designed, the world is designed to pull us out of
Yes.
the true essence of who we are from being
Yes.
tapped into, like we don't need, but it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, back on my
My whole
soapbox.
take on politics these days is both sides are a very broken wing of a very sick bird. And there's no happy middle anymore. You're either over here or you're over here. There's nothing that seems to rely on a balance of logic and emotion anymore. And and I think that's why a lot of times, people look at someone like me, they say, "Oh, you're a Pisces. You're just all emotional. All you do is cry." And don't get me wrong, I am the queen of crying. Um, I mean,
But you are
but
so much, you are so much more. It's like I'm an Aries and
yes,
I am so much
more
more
than that.
than we
Yes,
we are. And
yes,
even with all your Pisces,
yeah,
even with, like,
yeah.
I'm an Aries sun and an Aries Venus, which I mean, I got my fieriness. I do, and
Oh,
I own it.
yes.
I own it. I remember saying to a friend once, I was like, am I like a, what did I put it or whatever? I'm like, am I like a campfire? She says, you're a forest fire. And I was like,
I could
but I
see that.
have Taurus is my moon and Virgo is my rising. So I have the
You have the
grounded
grounding.
energy, right? So
Yeah.
you have so much Pisces, but I also know, I mean, Pisces is so wrongly labeled.
Well,
Like,
and a lot of that is the, we'll say, unhealed version. Because before I really allowed myself to step in and let go of my trauma in this life, then really step into my past lives, because that was just hell on wheels. But anyway, I was the epitome of the stereotypes of Pisces for the longest time until I went, this is not what I want to be anymore. And I will say, like, when I really started stepping into my past lives and stepping into who I was, that's where I found my power. Like, that is those versions of me. Some of them were so, can I swear? Can I
of
swear?
course you can swear. I
They
fucking
were
swear.
so fucking powerful. And to be able to pull those, and so many times people, when they start talking about past lives, they're like, oh, well, I have to get rid of the contracts and the bad things about it. But they forget the gifts, the soul gifts, the talents, the skills that you can bring with these things. In the astral, my original persona, we will say, was Selene, the moon goddess.
Mm.
And I run an entire organization that is working for the light, that is working to take down these factions, we will say, that don't want humanity to rise. This is why, like, if people look at my physical life, they're like, well, what do you do? You know what? I take clients on when I feel like taking clients on, and I clean houses 2 days a week, because you know what? This is what keeps my finances flowing just the way I need them to flow. It keeps me in a space where I can pay attention to what's going on with this other life that I live, essentially.
Yeah.
And it lets me carry out these energetic and astral missions without causing detriment to my physical life,
Mm-hmm.
because it requires a lot of energy, a lot
It,
of energy.
it does.
Um,
It
and I
does.
will tell you, when my team sat here and said, yes, you are Selene, the mood goddess, I went, yeah, right. Like, that was my literal response.
I get it.
And, I sat here and I really sat with it. And then I went, this makes so much sense. Everything about what people see the moon as has never resonated with me. Never. Um, they say too, your cycle is supposed to go along with your menstrual cycle is supposed to go along with either the full moon or the new moon. Mine never stays the same. One time it might be the full moon, the next time it might be the new moon. There's no reasoning. And it's because the moon has been so distorted over so many millennial that it doesn't even always know exactly what it's supposed to do anymore. And part of my soul mission in being here is to help fix that, but also to just help remind people that the history that we see is not history. History has always been written by the victors, and they always paint themselves in the most positive light. I was just working through a lifetime um, uh, where I was Mary Queen of Scots. And again, my ego went, okay. Every time one of those comes up, I sit here and go, there's no fucking way. There's no way that's who I am. There's no way that's who I've been. But, there's lots of other humble lives that come along with that remind me that, yes, there were times in history I've held important points. But we were talking about certain characters in that story, right? Because in the end, what happened? Mary was beheaded by Elizabeth. There was jealousy. The split between the two churches, the Protestant and the Catholic. Mary thought the Protestants should be. Elizabeth thought the Catholics should be. The prominent religion at the time. There was a lot going on behind the scenes. But Catherine Parr raised Mary. She educated her. She did all of those things. She was actually forced to do it. What you see of her in history, oh, she was this benevolent, lovely woman who took care of the queen's staff sister, blah, blah, blah. No, she was not. She was actually a taskmaster. She was very quick with the switch if you got the answer wrong. These were things that were coming through as I was working through this past life, thinking, there's a lot going on there. And so this is just one minuscule example of like how history has been distorted, and especially like our recent history. Even if you look back to things like World War I and World War II, who wrote the history? The Americans. Who won? The Americans.
Yep.
Nothing against people, nothing against anybody, but part of my job as a record keeper has been, no, we need to tell the absolute truth, not the distorted truth. And that's been a challenge, because when you start stepping into this stuff, like, you can start feeling crazy, because
Hmm.
and you're like, wait, is this real? Am I losing my mind? Is this spiritual psychosis? Because that can be a whole nother thing we can go down the path of. And I had to really sit with it and go, okay, what are things that I know are true? Okay. Here's my physical world. These are the physical things that I know are true. Okay, this is good. We've got this. Then, how do I know these past life memories are true? That was trickier. But for me, and most people will experience this to some degree as well. When you are encountering past lives, there is a resonance in your body. This is why it's so important as spiritual practitioners that we get in touch with this thing. Because if we do not, you cannot discern your truth.
Yeah.
And this here we go. We've just like encapsulated this whole conversation in a nutshell. Getting in touch with your body helps you discern your truth. And for me, it was the deep, visceral, emotional reactions I was having to these memories. Um, the just absolutely gut wrenching feelings of remembering the torture and the abuse that I went through, and the physical symptoms that I was having. Um, there was one point in the last few months, this has been very deep, probably going on for about a year now. It's very deep, very old things where I pulled up lives from Rigel, Bellatrix, from before time, from the Olympians and the Titans. We're talking things that people, a lot of the spiritual battle here on earth actually does go back to the Olympians and the Titans. And people think, oh, it's just a few thousand years ago. No, this is billions and billions of years in linear time. But it's actually outside of time. And wrap your head around that.
Oh, I mean, I remember when I first learned the whole that time is an illusion and it doesn't really exist, and we're living past, present, future, all right now in this moment. And I was like, huh? And then and I was like, oh, and it all like it just so there's so many mind-bending things about it,
Yes.
but you're right, like we have linear time, but the truth is, and that, I mean, you, as a records keeper, that, right? Like
Yes.
that there's, but it makes sense for us again in the human physical body that we're here in the 3D, to have that time type thing, but to know that it doesn't control us. That's to
Yes.
me one of the big things.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay, I have to say, because I feel like I got very clearly, I need to let you continue about the Galactic Federation. There's something
Um,
you still need to add with regards to what you were going to say there that needs to be said in this conversation. So I'm going to
Absolutely.
bring that came through. I was like, yeah, bring that back to her.
Bring it back. All right. So they're not to be trusted. We have I have very clearly established that. They they're people have this notion that they're coming in to rescue the earth and rescue us from the bad guys, essentially. No, their goal is totalitarianism, absolute control, and not just control over earth, control over the galaxy. I literally spent 2 billion years fighting them, literally. um, I was so on Rigel. We were hybrids. We were archangel hybrids, actually. And only because I say archangel, because they are just another type of being
Yeah.
who can do things, who can share things, who can move interdimensionally. Um, the whole idea of them being wings with eyes from the Bible, like, that's just hilarious. Um, cracks me up. Um, a lot of the angels that people say that they're working with, or even specifically Archangel Michael, it's an egregore. And for people who don't know what an egregore is, it is quite literally a grouping of energy that can act in the manner that it is programmed. And egregores are programmed with people's thoughts and people's beliefs about what the energy is. So this egregore that is Archangel Michael is programmed to be protective, programmed to be a healer, programmed to be all of these things. Yeah, that's going to trigger a lot of people. It's going to make a lot of people angry, but okay, we can't hide the truth anymore. Michael is, yes, the right hand of source, whatever. But he has a personality. He has a history. He has a life outside of what people think he is. But back to that, he's been part of my fight. He's been on my team for billions of years. He's been part of my fight against this. But in Rigel, this is where the genetic wars actually began. Well over 1 million years ago. I mean, because we know the Orion Wars has been something in the background for a couple million years. But the genetic part of the war started on Rigel. And how I came into that lifetime was the man who played the role of my father in that lifetime was a genetic engineer. And the best one on Rigel. And he figured out how to create a process where he could create a half Rigelian, half Archangel hybrid. And that's where I came in. That's where the person who is my, I'm going to say twin flame because it's not exactly, but it is. And it's a whole another, we could have a whole nother conversation about that.
You don't have to worry. I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Him as well as a couple other people that one person that I'm actually very good friends with now in this lifetime. The other person chose not to incarnate on Earth this time. So there was 4 of us and we were a very close-knit family. But a big part of our work was, part of my work then was I helped create the matrix that is Earth. And it got infiltrated before I could finish it. It was supposed to be a place where people could come to learn, but in a positive, loving manner. And it got infiltrated and turned into what you see now. It was not meant to be this. But that aside, that particular lifetime, we spent a lot of time in missions sabotaging the Federation because that is where this started, was with the Orion Wars. This is why it's been going on for so long, because they cannot gain ground. And recently some things happened where key players in the astral have been taken out, and someone within my organization actually has, I don't know the name of it. I have never been given the name of my organization because obviously there are things that if I know as the conscious human, I could accidentally broadcast, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not privy to all of the details, and we don't want that to happen,
Which
right?
exactly completely makes sense. Like, let's be real here. Some people are just so they want to know, like they're like, give me every answer. And sometimes when you're really pushing for it, you might not get actually the correct answer. But
Exactly.
you're so bang on about there's certain things that we are not meant to know, to tap into,
Yes.
whatever. Like, because like let's be real here.
Mhm. So anyway, a few months ago, we struck up a peace treaty with the Vatican and the Federation because they work together, we know. And there's been a lot of violations of that peace treaty. So we've had to take action on that. But essentially, we own the Federation now. And my goal with that is not to allow this totalitarianism, because my whole goal in initially beginning this organization a couple billion years ago, that's how far back it goes, was to help people have the peace and freedom that they deserve. When we initially began, it was beautiful. People created, people loved, they knew their children were going to grow up safe. They didn't have to worry about abuse or regimes coming in and trying to take things over. This gets me really emotional, so bear with me, because this has been the dream. When your soul holds a dream for billions of years, it becomes your whole entire way of life. Um, so it's really important that we, allow ourselves to experience the emotion of it, because otherwise it's not real, right? How do we manifest? We manifest with emotion.
Yep. And I always tell
And
people too, our emotions are meant to be felt. I always tell my clients, emotions are just energy in motion. We are supposed to
yes,
feel them so that we can then release them. But what happens is, I mean, this was me for, let's be real, 40 years. It was just, I
yes,
tucked it into those little boxes on the shelf,
yes,
just
yeah.
tucked them neat away. And then what happens when you do
And
that?
everything
Oh,
is good. Everything is wonderful. It's great. And then you
until
get
it's
sick.
not. And then so, but we're supposed to feel it. And but we're told
Yes.
like we're told we are told, I mean, as women it's a little bit better, and I don't want to like gender, but I'm also
No,
too, we are dual, feminine masculine energy
absolutely.
and roles and all that, but as women, as feminine traditionally, we are the more in tune and emotional and all of this kind of stuff, and it's somewhat acceptable, whereas like
Yes.
society has made it where, well, no, men need to be tough and no feel emotion and all this kind. I mean, yes, men are meant to be stronger. That's their
Yes.
biological makeup is stronger than
Yes.
women, or the
Yes.
feminine and the masculine, again, whatever label you want to put on it. But they are meant to be that stronger. They are meant to be the ones who go fight and do the wars and all of that. Like,
Yep.
you can't take away from the biology that everything was created on. But that doesn't mean that they have no feeling. And this whole
Exactly.
idea that if a man feels something, or if, if he shows emotion, that he's some kind of like wimp or he's less than or whatever. Oh my gosh. I mean, there's so many conversations that we could have off
Oh
of
yeah, for
it. Like,
sure. Like that's literally what I've been working on with my twin flame, we'll say, for the last 2 or 3 weeks. In the astral. We haven't actually physically met yet. That's a whole nother that's been a fun realization there. Um, and I'm actually in a karmic partnership right now. But when you're at that point when the karma runs its course and life is looking to change. But like I said, my father passed in 2012. My life totally changed. And my uncle, who was his twin brother, just passed a week or so ago. And yes, it looks like I can talk about this callously, but I have done my grieving on that.
yeah.
I know they're in a better place. I'm a medium. I know he's much happier now. But I said, I'm just waiting for the changes to happen. But yeah, so back to the Galactic Federation, they're under new ownership, we'll put new management. And we are working very hard to ensure the safety and the freedom of the entire galaxy. So that was what I needed to say. People need to know that it's not about a physical intervention. It is an astral and energetic intervention.
I remember early on in my deep awakening, like where dark night of the soul, ego death, everything that I thought that I knew, like the deep of the deep, right? I mean, I had like, it was like a gentle thing for so long. And then all of a sudden,
Yes. And then it
life
just,
life stripped me open. And I remember, which is fairly common, people are like, what the hell is happening to me? And you go onto Google and then you find all these things. And I found a lot of things. And I found accounts to follow on Instagram and all these things. And I remember at one point coming across somebody who, huge following, so immediately thought, well, they must be somebody of importance. And what they kept saying, oh my gosh, like the fear and the fear and the fear that it was instilling in people about what was happening and this new earth and all the things. And I could see it in the comments from
mm-hmm.
all these people. And I got to the point where I was like, I don't think so. At least this is not my truth. and I'm not saying that that person's wrong because
Yep.
I don't know their path. I don't know what they've chosen to, but I know my path and I know that I am the controller of my life. And so I'm like, not true for me. So many times, like I came across something at one point, and oh, the saddest thing about it is that so much of it is around like how can we take people's money? Like, and we're not talking
Yes.
a little bit of money.
No.
We're talking like you mentioned the twin flame. And I mean, I'm sure if you're on, because isn't it Prime and Netflix both have different about the twin flame universe, I
Yes.
think is, and I mean, the amount of money that these people, like, you need to pay this for, and I just like, so that's my big thing, right? Is I started to kind of see this pattern of
Yes.
we're going to help you awaken. We're going to help you connect to your path or to
Yeah.
your twin flame. You're going to
Yeah.
find your twin soul and your soulmate and your everything. Because what does everybody want? I mean, I went through a horrible, nasty divorce. When you were talking about your from the past before the galactic, I was like, yeah, that was my life in
Yep.
this lifetime,
Yep.
right? And so d- trust me, there's so many people, especially like we went through those years of COVID and lockdowns where
Yep.
people could like they were so lonely. So of course
Yes.
everybody's desperate to find
Looking.
their
Yeah.
person. And when the world makes it seem like this high perfect life, everybody's
It is not. I can tell you.
no, exactly. But the people, and so they're like desperate for these, and so they're like, here's my
So,
money, help me. And
yeah.
instead it's so doing the opposite and just
And it makes me so angry because one, we're in the age of Aquarius. No more gurus. You are your own guru. Yeah, you can learn from people like us, but
Mhm.
take it with a grain of salt. Pay attention to it.
I
And
always
I can
say,
tell you too, you don't, pardon me, but you don't fucking want this twin flame journey. You don't. It is like take your dark night of the soul and multiply it by 100 because you're going through a dark night of the soul for two people. That's what you're doing.
yep.
And it
And
is,
over and over and over and over and over
yes,
and over again. Yep.
yes. And so he's a Scorpio stellium. I'm a Pisces stellium with Scorpio rising. So like we are talking, and to boot, my Mars is in Cancer in my 8th house. Yeah. So this is like how many billions of years of contracts and patterns and behavior do you want to clean up? And it has been a nightmare. Don't get me wrong, there's been some beautiful experiences that went along with it. But the healing aspect, and a few, I think it was about a year ago, I had a shadow work practitioner tell me that I should never have gone through my shadow work on my own, that it was dangerous, that I could have been harmed. I could, and I thought, this is just practice. Like I have been doing this for so many lifetimes. I have been through the ringer. Um, if people, if I started talking about some of the things that Hades put me through, they would think that I was insane. He literally had me believing that all of these things were going to happen, and it was all empty promises.
Yeah.
And when I realized this, it's been about a year since we've really gotten rid of him. And this year of soul growth and emotional growth and actual real truth has been phenomenal. Not easy, but phenomenal. And in this work, like if you want to know who you are, you got to be willing to face some hard truths head on.
Yep.
And not just about your past lives, but about who you are right now
Yep.
and who you're willing to be. And like, what are you willing to give up? Back in January, my team was like, you need to walk away from your healing business. And I was like, but who am I without that? Like, it was a
Yep.
whole existential crisis. And they were like, no, you need to embrace your creative side and you need to start writing. And I went, I'm not a writer. I can't write. Me? some of the things that have come out, I'm like, where did this even come from? Now, granted, a lot of it is I'm writing these stories from past life memories, but
Yeah.
from the like absolutely deep love and even romantic perspectives that I had because my Pisces stellium is in my fourth house, my whole entire healing is around family and relationships. So that has been absolutely fascinating for me to be able to do. And now I'm starting to actually share it in the world, and that's terrifying too. But if we don't step into our deep authenticity as healers, as light workers, shadow workers, whatever the heck you want to call yourself, because
Mhm.
it's just a label. And I don't really have a label for it anymore. I don't want to have a label for it anymore because having a label puts me in a box. And I spent too many years in boxes, in other people's boxes. This is who you should be. No, I want
Yeah.
my life to be that inverse emperor. Like, let's rip that box open because I'm sick and tired of being what you think that I should be.
Yeah.
That's literally what it comes down to.
Yeah, and this is the thing, okay? So we are all so multifaceted and we are all ever evolving.
Yes.
We're not meant to be in a box at all. So, I always struggle when you go to like a traditional 3D, especially business things, they're like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, I'm like, I don't know how to because I do so many things, right?
Mhm.
Like how do you put into words what and again too, it morphs and changes. Like
It absolutely does.
as you evolve, the work you do evolves. Like
Absolutely.
it's just the way that it happens. So, but I love
Mhm.
how you touched on and you really like I feel like we're really driving home here with this conversation that like we really truly do need to be tapped into who we are. And this was the
Yes.
biggest thing that I realized with my work. So, when I learned the Akashic records and how to read it and went through all of that and see, you like when you're talking past lives, I'm like completely just enamored and just taking it all in. I never quite, it just didn't fit for me. And I was like, okay, but this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? Because when I went through the training and all it
Well,
was,
you're also working in the wrong place with the Akashic. You should not be working in the Akashic, my dear. You should be working in the halls of a mentee. We can
well,
connect on that
so
later.
for me, I realized that it wasn't so first off again, if I look at my soul and what I'm here for, what I'm here to experience and everything like that. It
Hmm.
is all of my divine creator and power energy and
Yeah.
it's about living in the physical. It
Yes.
is about so I realized, and I know this from my own journey as well too. I spent so much time and I mean, I had a lot of baggage just from this lifetime just
You and
from
me
this
both.
lifetime, I had a lot of baggage
Yeah.
that I had to heal. Let's not get into any of the past lifetime stuff and all of that, because trust me, but just in this lifetime, and I spent so much time in this cycle, and again, spending
Yes.
so much money on the traditional and the non-traditional, healing type avenues of, well, I have to heal and I have to heal before I can find love again. And I have to heal before I can
You
start
don't
creating the
have to
life
do
I want.
any
And I
of
have to
that
heal.
stuff.
Like you got to deal with your shadows and you got to go deep and you got to heal all your past. For me, it was very much, and again, this is my path. It's
Hmm.
cold here and I've got a blanket. So it's like every once in a while I get like a feather from, because it's down, the feather flies by. There's like a white feather. So I'm like when I'm like doing this, somebody's watching, they're gonna be like, what was she just doing there? But for me, and again, too, this is where like all of us coming together and just helping and uplifting and supporting in the ways like the
Yes.
work you do is so incredibly important. And for me, I'm here to help people. Yes, I can help you heal and do all those things and that does happen, but I'm here to help people not get stuck in like just the past and actually start creating the present and the
Hmm.
future
Yeah.
life that they want that's in alignment to their
And
soul, that's in alignment to their calling. And I realized, and it was like, it's totally okay that, like, past lives, that stuff comes in and it comes up.
Oh, it does.
And for my clients, you can't, if it needs to come through, it comes through. But I
Yeah.
don't put my main focus is not around past lives. It's not around
Nope.
taking people back into it. Like I just
Exactly.
learned this beautiful, full, like immersive where I can take my clients into like where they actually, I'm just guiding them. They're the ones who are going
Yes.
into and experiencing. And it's been phenomenal.
Yes.
And so if they need to go into that area, then they do. But quite
Yeah.
often what's actually been happening with my clients, again, because my clients are drawn into we're going into the other versions of them here and the now so that they can get to where it is that they want to go.
Yeah.
But
So,
this,
and that's a big part of my focus too, is I'm not channeling these past life stories for my clients, not at all. When you come to me and we do soul coaching, whether you do like the 6 week or the 12 week, I'm teaching you to do it yourself.
yeah,
I am teaching you Kundalini Reiki. I am teaching you how to get into the Akashic Records, how to get into the halls of a mentee. I am teaching you how to connect with you. And my last client, when we got to the end of her 6 weeks, it was her last day. And I was like, okay, but we're also clearing out any energetic tech that's on you, any implants, any of that
yeah,
kind of stuff, because you can't get into these places with that
with
stuff
that.
on you.
Yeah.
But my last client, when we got into her last week and she was giving me all of these details, and I looked at her and I said, do you realize that what you just did, there are seasoned practitioners who don't get that kind of detail? And she went, oh, no, no, no. And I was like, no, you just accomplished something absolutely phenomenal for yourself. So just keep trying, keep working with it, because my whole goal is to empower people to know you can do this for yourself. I'm not your guru. I'm just going to teach you how to do it for yourself.
And
And
then you
that's,
set them, and then you set them free. This is my thing. I'm like, I don't want people where you feel like you have to like that you have to just keep cut. I want you to be so tapped into who you are and your
yes,
energy and your gifts that
yes,
you then are set free. And also too, my main goal is that you're not going to need to continue to search for information because that's what happens, right? Like we get and we're just like, I
yes,
need the next guru and I need the next thing. And I just want people to know that you are your guru. You
yes,
hold it all inside.
yeah,
Again, you sometimes like let's be real and I use myself always as the example as well too. I mean, there was a point in time where I was like, "Uh, you need somebody to help guide you,
yes,
and stuff like that. So not saying that like just don't trust in anybody or do anything like that. I think what we're saying though is be discerning
yes,
about who you're trusting and especially
yes,
when you're handing over money, but not
yes,
even because the information that you can just go on somebody's YouTube channel and just keep listening to their videos and you're taking that information in. It's becoming a part of you and your
yes,
energy, and if it's not the best thing, so by the work that you and I both do with tapping people into them, they will be able to have such tapped in discernment over, is this true for me? Because again, what could be true for
yes,
me might not be true for you, and
yes.
so on. And so that is my thing. I went down the path and I spent money on things that I look back at it now and I think to myself, what the heck was I thinking? But I was just so desperate for answers.
In 2020, I was in this like, I have to know, I have to do this thing. I have to do this thing, right? And I didn't know what it was. And I kept looking like, what course do I need to take? What course do I need to take? I ended up taking, and I'm going to say this publicly because I do think that this, I don't know, I don't think this particular practitioner is what they claim to be. I took Elizabeth Wilcox 12-week Priestess Path course, and it was pricey. We get about 6 or 8 weeks in, and I'm sitting here thinking, I already know all of this stuff. I knew everything she was teaching. I did not learn anything new in that course. And it was in that moment that I said to myself, I need to figure this out for myself. And so I sat, I channeled my own healing modality. I I found Kundalini Reiki. And I've just literally used it to sit with myself. I have stopped following anybody and anyone who even teaches any of this stuff anymore because I find for me, and this might not be for everyone, but I find for me that when I start watching other people's stuff, I end up going down these weird rabbit holes because I'm a Pisces, I'm a sponge. I absorb everything. So I have to fight and work very hard to keep my channel clear. This is like multiple times a day, daily energetic maintenance. I mean, I clean houses for a living. I can walk into someone's house and I can say, oh, they had a rough morning today, or there was a fight here the other day, or I can literally feel this stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's why it's so very important. But I find also that if I'm watching these things, it clouds my own perception of my own truth. And that's so important to know these things about yourself. And especially as we move forward, because, despite there being a peace treaty, the Federation's still going to try things because we don't have all the people.
Yeah.
People underestimate the sizes of these astral organizations. So
Yeah.
it's going to
And
take time.
in every, and what you're talking about, what that does for everybody in every space within their life is it allows them, whether they're listening to a podcast or they're reading a book or they're watching the news, if that's what they do, but
Yep.
whatever type of information, because we are in a world of information overload. And so
Yes.
when all of this information is coming into us, we're able to say, is this true for me? Is
Yes.
that like, because there is so much. And when you are being bombarded and overwhelmed with the amount of stuff coming at you, what happens 100%, even if you're not a so much Pisces like you now, human design, I'm an open head, I'm open all up here, but the open head and completely open, no, not a
Yep.
gate, not a nothing. So I can be that same where I can just like absorb so much. So I've
Yes.
learned that if I'm, that doesn't mean I never pick up a book anymore or never watch
No,
a TV show or a movie or listen to a podcast. But when
exactly.
I'm in the space where I'm in my mode and I'm creating or I'm tapping in or I'm doing whatever, I have to be so tuned out from all the outside
Everything.
noise. I can't
Yeah.
even open somebody else's email
Yeah.
because that immediately, like it's like you with the Pisces energy, it immediately can be like,
Immediately. Yep.
it's the all the things. There's so much. Like there is so much. And that's what happens to a lot of people when they first go through
Yes,
their kind of deeper awakening is it's like there's just so much coming at you
there is.
that and so I know I had to fumble my way through mine so that I could have experienced it so that then I can help other people. Maybe not. I always tell people, I'm like, I fumbled it so that I can maybe help you fumble it less. I can
Yes.
help you collapse time on it or do whatever. So
Exactly.
our journeys are not for nothing, our struggles are not for nothing. It's what we have experienced and what we are experiencing, it's not for nothing. So
No, it's not. It is. There's this old saying, and I don't specifically believe in God, but it's just an old saying that God only gives us what we can handle. But I truly believe it is our soul that planned these journeys, and gave us what we could handle.
yeah,
And have I had those moments where I've been on the bathroom floor going, I can't live like this anymore? Absolutely. But they're fewer and far between now
yeah,
because I know when things come up, I know how to deal with them because I have fumbled the ball, so to speak, so many times that I understand the tools that are needed because it's not. And so many of these energetic practitioners, especially the newbies, oh, I got raked over the coals for this one because I said, if you're a new Reiki practitioner, practice on yourself first. When I teach Kundalini Reiki, that is the first thing I say. The first 30 days, you practice on you. That's it. Nobody else. And I got raked over the coals for it, but I'm not going to change my stance on it just because you think I'm talking from my ego. No, this is not from my ego. This is from, if you do not practice on yourself first, you are not an effective healer. And that's my whole thing with newbies is don't think that just because you have this new skill that you have to go try it out on everybody else. I've had people take my Reiki course and never use it on another person. They only used it on themselves. Um,
So I went through all levels of Reiki training. I am, and I have never used it on anybody but myself. And I
I want to
don't,
high five you for that. I love that.
you know, it, and I mean, so supposedly my cat probably, this is the funniest thing. So my trainings were all, it was all online, which at first I was like, but then understanding that energy and how it works and time and blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah, I was like, okay, I mean, hey, I'll go for it. I mean, I know the change that happened in me.
yeah,
But one of my cats, she was so antisocial, like, and did not want, like, not around people, not lay with people, not knew anything. But something had started to shift in her. And, anyways, it was the second level. And she basically, like, laid with me on the couch
yeah,
while this was going on.
yeah,
So I'm sitting here, COVID lockdown, the whole shebang. And I'm sitting there and I got my computer propped up on my ottoman and sitting there with her at the blanket and she's cuddling in with me. My daughter and her friend were like, "You broke the cat," because something shifted in her.
yeah.
And so I laugh. I'm like, I think she was Reiki attuned too.
Oh,
Um,
probably.
but so all of a sudden she just became, and she's just so loving and she like wants to lay with people and she does she will force me now. She will be like, you need to
You need to
come and
rest.
you need to come and sit and you
Yeah.
need to just relax with me, and she will to force me or whatever, and then I always feel really bad when I need to, like, I actually need to do things because again, human life requires
Yes.
sometimes that you can't just sit on the couch cuddling with your
Yes.
cat all day
It
all
would be
night,
nice.
right? But anyways, so maybe my cat is also a little bit, but that's it. And I don't have any plans to. Like
Yeah.
at all. I
And
did it. It was one of those journeys. The learning the work that I learned, I originally only did it for myself as well too, because I
yeah,
was at that point in time working with a life coach, working with my healer, and doing traditional therapy all at the same time to try to heal from my horrible toxic divorce and marriage and all the things.
yeah,
And then the work that I do now came into my awareness, and I was like, first off, I thought, holy fuck, my entire life makes sense. Like,
yep,
wow. And I was like, it was an investment, but again, I was looking at how much I was paying over here. And if
yeah,
this could actually, like, if this would actually help me get to the root cause and clear that, and then I'm all for it. And so, but that
yep,
was my goal. It was just for me. I did not have any plans at all to do anything with it. Now, I will say, when I hopped into the train and I was like a few weeks in and I thought, okay, I can't not share this with people
yeah,
because OMG. Like it was like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, what? And so, but yes, there's certain things. But so I've actually had a client who has worked with me for a number of years, and she came at one point and she had actually a third, it's something within her physical, right? Because we can have things in the energetic, the 5D, 4D, where our mental and emotional,
yep,
and then also within our physical body. And she actually had a viral entity that she had picked up, and I had said to her, I'm like, these things we typically pick up from either somebody who we've been in close physical contact with, so maybe a relationship,
yep,
or somebody who's maybe done some energy work on us, or we've even done it on them and not have proper boundaries, and then it's come
yes,
through that way. Well, she hadn't had any relational contact, she hadn't done anything on anybody, but she had gone to somebody who she thought was great, perfect, all the things. Well, she picked up this viral entity that was just wreaking havoc within her physical
yes,
body
yep,
from this practitioner. And again, it just made me realize, I'm like, you have to be. And I had been telling her, and I didn't want to be like, well, I told you, but I've been telling her for probably 6 months leading up to in all our sessions. I'm like, you do not need anybody else. You like, if you think you don't, but
Yep.
she was still very much in that I need support. I need, like that kind of thing or whatever. But yeah, like
Yep.
people truly have to be really, really careful with who they're allowing
Yes.
to.
That's something I preach. I share on threads several times in the last few weeks, even these people who are like, oh, I've got this going on. Can somebody energy look at my energy and tell me? And I'm like, no, I am not going to look into your energy. One, I don't know you. Two, we've never connected on any level. And three, you do not understand what you are inviting in right now. You are inviting everybody in. When I do a session with a client, I do a full clear on myself before I step into the session. I clear the client when we step into the session. And when I am done, I close that. I revoke the permissions and
Yeah,
I clear myself again because we are not meant to be living in each other's energy like this day in and day out. And I mean, yes, we're all interconnected and all of that beautiful stuff, but we are here. Part of our job in the physical is to understand how to be sovereign in our own energy and not be relying on other people's energy. That's actually like a huge lesson I've had to work with my twin flame on because literally he was using my energy as a security blanket. And I said, no, 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 we can't do that. And I did the same thing, right? We were, because this world fosters codependence. And I said, no, 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 we can't do that. Part of
yeah,
that particular healing journey is healing that codependence. And it has been, again, like I would not wish this journey on anybody. It has been hard to figure it out. But that has been like, we cannot be using other people's energy as our security blankets. We cannot be letting ourselves live in their emotions either. um
yeah,
when you live
yeah,
with somebody, it's a hard thing, especially somebody who is such an energetic sponge.
yeah.
I've
That
had to learn to really pull myself back.
oh, trust me. When I learned how truly highly sensitive that I was to other people's energy and everything like that, like completely changed how I operate, like all of that. So okay. I think we've been over an hour here, and I
We could
always
talk all day.
we could. Oh, we honestly could. So I really think we should do this again because we
Oh
can just,
yeah.
but um what just the conversation, and it just feels like we're just chatting instead of
Mhm.
actually, and this is the thing, right? And this is what I wanted these to be. But I'm
I love
also
it.
so cognizant of other people's time and their energy because they're putting in their energy to listen to us and everything like that. But I set the goal that I would love it to be 20, 30 minutes, but I'm not stopping conversation that needs to happen. At this
Yes.
point, though, I think we are over an hour. And so I'm
We're
going
good.
to, but honestly, Lisa, I would love to do this with you again.
I am so down. I have loved talking to you. This has been just, it's been lovely.
We are on very similar paths and
Yes.
experiences, and I think that there's just so much beauty to that, and by us sharing our story, hopefully we can help others. That's what I really
Yeah.
truly want here. So again, thank you to
Thank you.
Lisa. What I'm going to allow you is, obviously all of this information will be in the description box, but
Yep.
please share, just if somebody is only listening to this while they're driving or cleaning or doing whatever. That's quite often where I do this kind of stuff. And they want to be able to connect with you right now, and they don't want to think about just how can people connect with you in this moment right now, what's best methods and everything.
So there's lots of different ways, but the easiest is mostly you can find me on Instagram and Threads. If you click my links in my bio, you can find my website. You can find my Patreon where I share some of the stories that I've done. But you can also find information on how to connect with me. If you want to connect with your past lives and you want to learn how to do that for yourself, I do offer 6 and 12 week coaching packages, and I always recommend book a discovery call before you dive into this. Let's get to know one another. Let's find out if we're a fit. And I know like a lot of practitioners don't do that, but I do because I'm an acquired taste. I know this. My energy can be very triggering for people. Hell, it's triggering for myself sometimes. Um, so I do recommend let's if you want to connect with me, book a discovery call. But other than that, come follow me on Threads and Instagram. And if you want to just find something fun, I am on the TikToks, as they say. I joke about being old, right? I'm not, but I love to joke about it. But I am on TikTok. My handle there is Ceylana Grace, which I think you have under there. That was my name on Rigel. And that's why I pulled that. And also one of my names in another past life literally meant she who leads with grace. So that's why I pulled those.
Oh, okay. I love that. I love that. And I love that you're on the TikToks. I was on the TikToks, and I had actually a pretty decent TikTok with almost 6,000. And it got hacked, and I don't even
Oh
know
dear.
how because, well, I didn't give them the code. So the code got emailed to me. They didn't hack my email. I double checked that. So, but then through some searching and some Reddits and everything, I learned that that's actually somehow happens. So TikTok is not super secure. Um,
No.
and I've tried to do everything. So I will tell you and anybody else listening, if you have TikTok, make sure you know. Like I did this on my Instagram because again, I don't know. I've been on Instagram since day one. I don't remember when that was. Know when you started your account. What is the date that you created? Because I
Mhm.
have tried everything. They're like, that information is not correct. I'm like, seriously, I'm giving you everything to prove that this is me. You can see
Yeah.
all my other accounts. You can see the content that is on that one that was
Yeah.
on my Instagram at the same time, like
Yeah.
same videos. Like you can see all of my things that were linked to it. Oh my God. It just, and I finally have given up. And every once in a while, I keep thinking maybe I should go back to it. But then I'm like, oh, I don't know. But, anyways, I love that you are on the TikToks. And yes, we are Gen X. And so we are old. We also do, according to my daughter, we do the millennial pause. I'm like, is it the millennial pause or is it the Gen X pause if we're doing it? Did it not stem maybe from us? I don't know. I've tried to get better at it, but I'm only learning. I am a Gen X. There's
Yeah.
nothing I can do about it. It's when
Yeah.
I was born. It's
Yep.
who I am. And I think it's what makes me awesome. So I'm just gonna go with that. But
Hey, you know what? Latchkey and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches was a way of life for us. So
it was the best.
it
Like
was.
your parents had no idea where you were. They couldn't
Nope.
track you. Didn't have phones. They couldn't track you.
Nope.
Didn't like we were like free birds, and
Yep.
it was the best life,
It was.
So yeah, not complaining at all
No.
about my Gen X upbringing. So a lot of people are very, they're like, "Oh my God, you
You
dare."
really drank from the garden hose? Yes, yes, we did.
Yes, of course we did. People
I
are like,
ate
"What do you mean? Like your parents had no idea where you were?"
I ate
Well,
green beans out of the garden that weren't washed too.
I know. How did we survive? Right?
Well,
I mean, there was no such thing as cell phones or pagers or any, you needed to call home. You had to find a payphone or somebody else's house. I mean,
exactly.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how parents did it back then, but like they did. And we all turned out darn good. So
Yep,
I'm not even going to say just fine because we turned out better than just fine. We
we sure
turned
did.
out darn good. That sounds really horrible to say, but anyway, sometimes every once in a while language comes out of my mouth and I'm like, where did I even get that? But, you know, there you go. So, again, thank you to Lisa and thank you to everybody who has tuned in and who has listened to the end with us. If something in today's conversation lit you up, I would always love for you to share it, whether it's in the comments, whether you tag me on Instagram or something like that as well too. And yeah, so until next time, everybody, stay grounded, stay aligned, and keep letting your soul lead.